Why would a man like me just fall in love with this film? I can watch it a few times a year, even more often. Do you get that a lot?
We do. I do. Like every day.
It's really
Every
peculiar.
day.
There's such an innocent.
I think yeah, it is. I think the reason why people like it is because it's authentic. You know, there is genuine love. It was put together in the notion of love from Jared and Jerusha. In the case with my character, Jared, he actually loved a black woman in real life at some point in time in his journey, and I may have looked like her or had a semblance of who she was, and I just think he felt the idea that two people from two different walks of life can actually find love and be successful at it. And those two were for sure. So it's just deeply rooted in honesty and sincerity. So I believe people feel that they can see themselves in it, even though it's predominantly white.
Yeah.
It's not about the color as much as it's about the experiences. And I do believe that that's what makes people that draw them in. They see themselves living vicariously through these people.
I've never done this for anybody before. You, I wanted you to know how much I love this movie, and my
Thank
wife just taught me
you.
how to do it 10 minutes ago. So I'm,
I
I,
actually was just at the house there. What was it? I went to Africa. I came back. I think it was October, November. There was last year was our 20th anniversary, and we each had different places we went for public appearances. And one was Polar Bear. They did a La Fonda day. It was all about me. And the gentleman that drove and picked up me and my assistant, we actually went to the house, and I hadn't seen it since I was there
it
20
looks
years.
smaller. They always look smaller when you come back
hmm
and visit some.
Yeah, it was just, but it still felt that same type of synergy in terms of what we knew we had experienced that time. I mean, we were all just innocent folks just showing up to play pretend in this imaginary world that's become very real.
I got a chance to talk to John last year. And what a nice guy! And he had that opportunity to work with Gene Hackman, and that's what I
hmm
when he was in Get Shorty, and that's all
hmm
I really wanted to know about was how was it working
hmm
with Gene Hackman. But he was a delight, and I didn't know his father was quite an accomplished actor as well. And
hmm
all these things you learn. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but there is that
hmm
authenticity. There's that love I felt. And it really did seem like you all got along. And is that the case? Was it that a real love situation?
It really was, and it still is today. I talk to them all the time. I just talked to Jared, what was it, a few days ago? He was in London doing press for Mind Games. I spoke to Efren about a week and a half ago. John and I, we text all the time. And of course, Kip, my husband, we spoke about 2 weeks ago. So
Wait,
Tina
you got
Magdalena and
married.
I,
You got
we,
married after the original film, right?
we did. It was
That's what
after
I wanted to
the
ask you about. I know that I
Mhm.
read somewhere that they spent more on that than they did on the entire picture. Is that
They
correct?
sure did. They actually did. And the black family that's in there is my real family, actually, because there were no black people in Preston, Idaho. So they got per diem and they got a fancier hotel. Like they really cleaned up. I was like, I didn't get any of this.
Want that. I want to be in a movie where I can bring my family and to hang out. That is so sweet.
Well, you just have to be the only person that's black in the whole film. And you're in a town where there's no black people. I think that might be the case in if it was the reverse, right? So for us, there were really no black people in Preston, Idaho. There was a gentleman that Jared had worked with. I think he kind of mowed his lawn as he was growing up, and he lived right on the cusp of Preston in Utah. Or yeah, I think it was, yeah, wherever it was right on the cusp. And he had him play my father so my father can stay here with all the rest of my siblings. But it was my real mom and one of my sisters
How
and two of
special.
my younger brothers. Yeah,
How
listen,
special.
Jared, it is beyond special. Now that's the gift that keeps on giving, I
How
have
many
to say.
people can really say that they're part of? Not a lot. Not a lot can say they were part of that special thing. And I know this is going to sound stupid and disingenuous, but I never saw it as a black woman and a white guy. I never saw it that. Honestly, I know that sounds really stupid, but Kip was so innocent that I didn't care if it was a Martian. You know what I mean? I
Well,
never,
that's the beauty of the film, and I think that was something most people felt. It's not a stupid question because actually what love is isn't a color.
right.
And
And
that's the
I
thing that
it
people
from
need
my
to
heart,
understand.
from my
Yeah.
heart. And I know this
From
world.
your heart. And we really wanted it to feel that way. And because I did love him and I still love him, I could make up my mind to say that, and it doesn't matter the person's color, their size. I mean, I'm 6 feet and,
Yeah,
Aaron Rule is not. So,
yeah,
there's that whole height differentiation, but the heart of the way our hearts were knitted together were through
yeah,
the internet. So we didn't have that chance to really focus on the look. And I know everyone thought I was white all the way up until I stepped off the bus. And I think that actually is what made it so special because the way he revered her, the way he spoke
yeah,
about her, the way he,
right.
he had such reverence for her love and her beauty and her essence and everything. And then you see this Black woman from Detroit come out. It just is nothing more humbling, quite frankly, just the way it was written, because what you saw was what was written. Nothing was added or embellished.
Right.
It was the words on the page. So it really spoke from Jared and Jerusha's heart. And we were able to, obviously, all these years later, continue to fall in that space of love every single time. It was genuine then, and as it still is genuine today.
I mean, I really sense it. And I was thinking earlier today that it's the economy of language. You didn't need to say a lot of lines for me
Right.
to understand who you were. And that's a gift, both by you offering it and the film directors, because
Thank you.
LaFonda didn't have to say much. You came off that bus with that smile, melted me, and I'm a hard
Oh,
case. But you agree with me
oh.
on the lack of dialogue? Not lack, but
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that actually was what moved people about my performance. We were at Sundance that next year, and it was Glenn Close who came up to me at
oh,
Sundance. And listen, I don't think I processed it because, to be
that's
sincere with
fine
you,
clothes.
yeah, it was Glenn Close. Well, at the time when she spoke to me, she said, there was a thing called silent pictures back in the day, right? And so, but when we watched silent pictures, which was real movie making to her, she said, you always knew what the person was saying because it spoke to them in their eyes. And she said, you are a phenomenal actress and you have a great star ahead of you because I understood everything you said as very
Oh,
little that what you had. And I just remember taking that in because I knew that I never was about the words on the page. I went to performing arts high school. I went to school for theater. I have a BFA. So I knew how to tell stories without having a word to say. I just knew it because the feeling of love is in here and it resonates in your eyes or in your touch. And some folks may not have all of the right vernacular to say, but LaFonda didn't have to say much. Her essence alone just exuded the love and the reverence that she had for this man that she had fallen in love with. And I felt like that was even the care that she gave to Napoleon in the kitchen. She cared about people. And that was something that I believe that I wanted to convey. And I gather I successfully did that.
she was a giver.
She was, and actually, that's really who I am as a person. There are the elements when people have asked me before, do you see yourself in LaFonda? I'm like, well, I'm sure every person I portrayed is actually in me because it's me. But I have what I know for sure that she had on the page that exudes my essence is the ability to give unselfishly, to look at people for who they are, not what they say, not how they belittle you, not how they make snide comments or disregard you. And especially in a state where there were no Black people, and which is horrifying to even suggest that or think it even happened in this 21st century, but it did, and it happened to me. And yet I still had empathy for the people because I understood that whatever the climate was in this country, we were not warranted there. And I love the fact that Jared and Jerusha could see beyond the scope of where they are and still embrace that love, especially coming from Detroit, which is, one of the most back in the day, right? My mother's from Detroit. And so that was akin to my family of the when she was a child living very successfully well. Her mom was an operating room technician, first Black woman of her time. And so my mom had a great childhood, but my cousins or other people may not have had. And, that state was booming and then it was deplorable. And here
Yeah.
comes this woman of regality, just coming here to offer her love and affection to him. No matter what, she was willing to go from here to Budapest to get to that love. And I just think there's just something really marvelous about that. So that does resemble me, even being on the call. I don't have to know you. I do interviews with people. Some folks may have things to say about the trajectory of one's career or what they think about a person, but I am about love and giving everybody an opportunity. And oftentimes, maybe my team may be like, oh, no, that's not, this person's got to elevate. But I just remember being a beginner. And I know what a beginner was like when I needed a break and I needed an opportunity. And God gave me this particular film 1 year into Hollywood, and it has sustained me beyond success for these 20 now 1 years.
That is a success story. I mean, there's a lot of actors, I'm always taken aback by how few actors can really make a memory of
Yeah.
themselves. And
Yeah.
you look at great films, but some actors just couldn't pull it off. And the one thing I'm always enamored with is the movie Airplane. You might be too young
Hmm.
to know that one.
Hmm.
Actors are from here, and I wrote a book with them, and I know them fairly well. But this and Napoleon, I quote them both equally. Like I always go, geez, when he says that, and when he says lucky, I say lucky once a day. And then the foot under the picnic table was
Yeah.
glorious. And talk about not saying anything, but saying, because in film you got to show, don't tell.
And that was my first scene. I literally flew
Really.
in. I flew in. It was about an hour and a half or so. One of the producers, Sean Covell, picked me up from the airport and we drove in. I went in immediately, switched up into the outfit, and that was the first thing I shot. So the introduction to me, even on set, was in a non-verbal, a non-speaking part. But I knew no matter what, the moment I had seen him, and I had met him right before, like 2 days before, because they had come to Los Angeles to see me.
Mhm.
And I had connected with him then, but to just swiftly, it moved so fast to get there. And then that be the first scene. And people, I mean, it's so memorable to
It
them.
is. It is.
That footsie scene, that was all, it was written. I will not lie. It was not improv. It was all written, but the extra, all of my extra oohs and all that. Of course, that's me. That's just who I am.
Just who you are. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a film snob, but I see a lot of films. So it's so interesting to me how there's a film called Paul Blart, which was rated poorly, but I love it. It's something about these innocent films that I really enjoy, and it's
Hmm.
magic. And I know you've heard this 100 times. I wouldn't have tried to get in touch with you if this didn't mean that much to me.
I know, and I appreciate it. Listen, my
Oh, I
assistant
appreciate
does
you
whatever
talking to me because I've been a
possibly.
journalist for 30 years, but nobody reads anymore, Shondrella. It's all about the instantaneous gratification.
I still read because I'm,
Oh,
I'm I'm an artist. I still read. I read novels. I read books, and my mom still reads. Listen, my two of my sisters, we're readers. Some folks do, but you're right. In the mass space of it all,
yeah.
people are just on the go. It's just too much. And the technology of it all doesn't give you that warm and fuzzy of sitting back and remembering when you can just pick up a book and actually feel the words on the page. And so I'm still the person that they have to deliver the script to my home. I'm not the one that just takes it on the email.
I feel I feel badly when people don't know the gift of reading, that
Yeah,
people just don't know where it takes you and how it
yeah.
exercises you. I got to know when you got a script named Napoleon Dynamite, what'd you think? What was your first thought, if you can remember? Like, what is this?
I actually didn't think that. I thought, initially I thought maybe it was a period piece type of film at first. Initially, my first thought, just because of Napoleon and who he was, but I didn't know. I mean, ultimately, I'll be sincere with you, is that when the trades, or I would say the breakdown of the character, when my agent called, I was doing a show called Girls Behaving Badly at the
Hmm.
time, and I was in Chicago. We were doing pranks across America, and I got the call the aesthetics of the person was 5'10" or taller, African American woman, full body.
That's
And
me. You're like, yeah.
well, my agent was just like, I don't really think there's anything that's been so spot on the nose, especially having a robust body. That wasn't a thing that I believe many people were doing. But keeping in mind, I was just 1 year into the game. So I didn't know one way or the other what was traditional or not. I know what I look like, I know who I am, and I know I was already on a hit TV show that I was representing Shondrella as myself. So people knew that I looked like this with a body and a butt. So it wasn't surprising. And from there, I just leaned into that because I was shooting. I didn't have enough time to contextualize. I read the script and I read it at Kinko's, in fact. And I did. I remember laughing out loud in the first like 2 to 3 pages. And I was just like, wait, what is this again? Let me go back and look.
What?
And I just looked to try to see like, explain to me the movie
Right.
because I was chuckling at things that I'm like, are these people, are they special need? Like, what's happening here? It just felt something was a little off. It was like not like flu. Is this age?
Sometimes those are the best when it's not about something. Like
Well, that was the thing. But when
foreign
you're,
films are like that. Foreign
of
films, a lot of
course.
time it's just happening, you know. And I,
Exactly, exactly. But at the time, keeping in mind, putting things in context, I was shooting. So
Mhm.
when someone is like, "This is for you. We need to get this going. You need to," I'm like, I have to stop. I mean, I'm in production on a show, on an Oxygen show. I'm kind of busy, but I ran to Kinko's, so I didn't have time to sit and pontificate as I normally would with a person or with a story. I just had to hurriedly read it, and then when I realized I wasn't coming on the page anytime soon, I'm like, well, when is this person going to show up? And then I found out, she comes in halfway towards the end of the film, and I just chuckled. And I knew immediately that it felt different and fresh and odd and unique. And that's what I am. I knew I was eclectic, and this felt very much that. I knew it had people that needed to be leveled up. And I remember I was bullied in 1 year of high school. I only went to 1 year of public high school, actually. And the 1 year I did go, it was ninth grade. My parents were like, no, it's not going to be for you. I was like, no, and I really need to see and experience instead of being in private schools. And it was the worst year of my life in
Yeah.
the ninth grade. And I knew I was different. And so I ended up going to Performing Arts High School. I auditioned and got accepted at Lakcha.
Wow.
And from there, this particular film felt that when I read it, it had that underdog, like, oh my God, like nobody's gonna like be this person's friend. And like he's just like a loser, but he's not because he's confident in his skills. And I understood him from my ninth grade experience. And so that just I'm always for the underdog in my life personally. I'm always fighting for the voiceless, and I'm 6 feet. So I
Yeah.
just don't adhere to peer pressure, and I don't take junk. So I'm going to stand up for somebody. And those pieces is what moved me. And I just called my agent, was like, okay, great. I'll be back, from Chicago this time. Maybe you can set it up. And the next thing I know, I was at 20th Century Fox meeting Jory White's the casting director. And there was like nobody in the lobby. And I walk in and he's like, oh my God, if you look as good, if you can act as good as you look, is what he said. If you can act. And I said, oh, well, I can definitely act, baby. And that was it. And so there was no competition. Maybe they saw somebody else. I have no idea because
Well,
I
you were
know
LaFonda. You were her.
I'm I just knew it.
Yeah.
Like it spoke to me, it was me. And 2 days later, the guys flew down here, and I walked in the room and their eyes just lit up and was like, oh my God.
Hmm.
And I was just like, where's my baby kid? And there,
And they knew it. You
they knew.
know, I have to say one thing. I never saw Kip as anything, or Napoleon. They had a great deal of confidence. I never saw them as, they may not have come across as, click, but I never saw them with a lack of confidence. Or you.
Mhm,
I never saw
mhm.
Kip as a sad figure. I thought he was great. A guy that,
Yeah.
when he
In
says,
his own little world. He was
yeah,
himself. He devoted to himself. Yeah.
that's
It was
right.
just
He
him.
didn't view himself as an underdog.
No,
I
he
don't
did
think
not.
any of them did.
No, we didn't. And that was the thing with the audience. Sometimes people have a misconception of who they think you are, right? They put a haze or a label on you for a certain thing and they prejudge you without really understanding that you've leaned to your own understanding. Your own understanding is not accurate. And so when you see this person, he must have something that she likes, because what else would make her be drawn in
Right.
even after seeing him to be so devoted? She changed his style so we can dress alike, because if people understand Black people in relationships, we dress alike with our boyfriends. That's what we do.
Hmm.
It's not, but it wasn't because people were like, oh, why did you pimp him out? No, if you understand Black people, we always dress alike when we date each other growing up. Like, that's just what we do.
All right. A swimming pool or an ocean?
Swimming pool.
Definitely. Get that chlorine going.
Yeah.
Chips Ahoy or
Um, I know I just said I'm an avid swimmer and I just swim like almost every day.
well, you look fit. Um, Chips Ahoy or Twinkies?
Chips Ahoy.
Yeah, I don't like Twinkies. They're kind of strange. I don't
You
know.
know what? Honestly, Jim, I promise you, I literally just had a Twinkie about 3 weeks ago on set because it was there, and I hadn't had a Twinkie in, I don't know, 25 years. And it was spongy. It
Yeah,
had like, and you know what? It was, the cream inside was good. It was actually very salacious. I thought it was pretty good.
really.
But I'm still gonna go with the Chips Ahoy. I love a
Yeah.
chocolate chip. And yeah,
You
I just
can't
love
you can't dip a Twinkie in milk.
you
It ain't
cannot.
gonna happen.
That's a
All
good
right.
point.
I don't know if you drink, but red wine or white?
I don't.
Okay. What
I
color
don't
is
drink.
better,
Yeah.
red or white?
I don't know, but if it's anything sweet, I will say I will have a sweet drink, which if I do have is more of a dessert wine, and it's
Yeah.
probably going to be red.
Yeah. There's a
Red is probably better
Lambrusco.
for you anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, Lambrusco or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Do you like a horror movie or a rom-com?
Horror.
Do you have a favorite one?
I am a stalker of the Halloween series that,
Okay.
I'm like, I grew up on it. I'm committed, but I would probably say The Shining.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I
Scammy
think
Brothers
today it still
and
stand, yeah, it still stands
Nicholson.
up today. Yeah. I mean,
It
there's,
does
oh my
stand
God.
up. It does
Listen,
stand up.
play Misty for me, right? There's a thrillers, horror.
Clint Eastwood, and that was a creepy film.
It wasn't that creepy? Play
Yeah,
Misty for me. It's like, but listen, you can go Fatal Attraction, which is
that was
thrillers.
a good film too.
I
That
mean,
was.
listen, but I definitely lean more into, I would probably say horror than rom-com. I
Have you
do.
seen The Conjuring?
Listen.
Spooky film.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Ooh,
that is
yeah.
a spooky
Mhm.
film, and
What
I
about
like.
Skeleton Key? What about
I
Skeleton
think
Key?
I saw it. I think I saw it. I don't remember it well, but even The
Yeah, you got.
Exorcist was pretty darn scary for and even
Yeah,
when you can get into somebody's mind. I think that sometimes is where like Silence of the Lambs and that kind of thing. That affects me more than just somebody getting, corn
like
syrup.
jumping you.
But
I
yeah,
agree. I
right.
agree. I agree. Well, because it makes you think. It makes you
Yeah.
think.
And once
Yeah.
you're inside somebody's head, there's more danger.
I listen. This is why I think maybe we're so popular in the movie, right? We're
Yeah.
in everybody's head, but so it's still good though. It's a good thing. It could be this or that depending on the situation. So
Yeah,
I
I
hear
think
you.
when they show us something that the audience doesn't see it, but the person reacts, you can make up your own mind as to what that is.
Good point.
It doesn't, it's all in your mind. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes I think that's wonderful.
I
Cannoli is
agree.
one of my favorite. I dated an Italian girl whose grandfather owned a bakery, so I love cannolis or donut. What do you like better?
I'm
Cannoli,
gonna say donut. Donut.
okay. Any
Just love a donut.
particular?
Yeah, I like donuts.
I
I like
like
donuts. I
I
like
like
cannolis too when I'm there. If I'm in Italy or I'm in Rome, wherever I'm at, if I'm in the location, even here, we have some great bakeries. But if I had to go to my go-to and there was something there, it's definitely gonna be a donut.
it's easier. Do you like being a passenger or do you like driving?
I'm a driver.
Yep. I can't, you know, I don't mind flying, but I wish I was driving. It's
Yeah.
something like you don't want to give up that power.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. No, I'm a driver. I prefer to drive than be driven. And oftentimes, in my business, I have car service that picks
yeah,
me up. But I enjoy the feel of, I think you said the word control. I think it is navigating. I appreciate the navigation of it all more than I
yeah,
do the control, because you have to be on your toes to think in ways with which to be vigilant at
yeah.
all times. And so I'm definitely a driver.
Well, what I meant by control is if I'm crashing a plane, at least I know I'm behind the wheel. So
Well, that's the truth.
it's a
That
little
is
easier
very, very true.
to know you did
I
the.
agree.
Yeah.
That's true.
Tennis or golf?
I beg your pardon?
Tennis or golf?
Tennis.
Of course. Cobb
Hmm.
salad or sushi?
Uh, Sushi.
Okay.
Mhm.
Everybody says that. Everyone, I mean, every
Yeah, I
person
mean, I like because I'm not a Cobb salad generally comes with eggs, if I'm not
don't
mistaken.
like eggs.
No, unless they're in pancakes or things that I don't eat eggs. I don't eat
Well,
I eat egg whites
yeah.
if I'm,
Well,
trying to work out or dieting, but I don't eat the yolk and no, I don't want any of that unless it's in things I can't taste, like, of course, pancakes or cakes and cookies and waffles, but just an egg, no, 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 I don't,
no.
no.
Sandals or flip-flops? Aren't they the same thing? How about if I say sandals or high
No,
heel?
they're different. No, no, no.
No?
Sandals and flip-flops are different. Sandals have a more shoe-like experience. A
Oh,
flip-flop is, yeah, because a sandal has most times either has a strap around the ankle or some type of decorative design on it. A flip-flop is normally you slide your foot in and it just has like the whole middle part. So I'm gonna say a sandal because I'm a lady.
yes, you are. And what was it under the table? Was that more of a sandal under with kip?
That was a sandal. Yes, it was.
There's a clear distinction. And then for all the marbles, Mercedes or BMW?
Mercedes every day. I've
That's
been
it?
driving. Yeah. Oh, listen, for 30 years, I only drive Mercedes.
Wow, I just look at them and drool. That's
Oh, well, they're just car
score.
payments, Jim.
One,
They're
two,
just
three,
car payments.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, you're right. Delivered. Perfect score. I've never had anybody get a perfect score. My mom used to call them a hunk of 10.
Well, how did you rate that? How would you have known
No,
who
no, it's
gives the
all me,
highest
and you,
score?
you you answered exactly the way I felt you should
Oh,
have. How's
oh,
that for
okay,
a
okay,
score?
well, that's good.
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
well,
that's
that's
it.
good.
And usually I'm just so scared now because you really laid me out. I want to tell you,
No, I just gave you a piece
no,
of,
no,
I just gave you a piece of loving advice.
I'm editing this out, and I can't tell you my heart for you. I think that this is all going to be edited out, but I mean,
Yeah.
rarely have I cared for, you just seem like a wonderful woman.
Thank you very much. I
Wonderful
really
person.
appreciate that, Jim. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. It means a lot. I'm grateful for to be sought out after at all times.
But I
My
hope you feel special that you were such an integral part of that.
Oh, you
Oh,
know what? I do now. I don't think I knew, when it happened, I don't think any of us really knew that we were,
you couldn't. You couldn't.
how can you
Even
not?
with in some films, they find an audience later. You
Well,
know,
the one thing I can say is that my mentor is Forrest Whitaker, and I've grown up with him being a big brother, a mentor. And when it first came out, it was subsequently a year later, I had a whole bunch of like my life just completely changed. Oh, well, all of our lives changed in a year, but mine really exponentially changed. And he said to me in that first year, he said, this is gonna follow you all the days of your life. Like, this is it.
he
He
saw
was
it.
like,
He knew it.
yeah, he knew it. He said, never be above it. He said, never snub your nose up to it. He said, always take the interviews, embrace it. It's going to follow you forever. And I saw him last year in January, as we were headed out to Sundance. And it was our 20th anniversary approaching. And I saw him. We were together and we had lunch. And I said, it's the 20th year of Napoleon. And he said, what? He said, didn't I tell you? I said, it has not only has it followed me, it has defined me in such a way that only God could do. See,
Yeah.
God has to be the one that put these types of blessings together where they never wane. It's biblical. Some things are when he says, I give you favor that passeth all understanding. These are things that are biblical. So it isn't something that we could have done other than be ourselves. And when Forrest said that to me literally 20 years ago, when I saw him, I said, I just want to say thank you because although I've always been a gracious person and I knew myself, this was 1 year into it and it completely changed my life. Like there was not a job that I had to audition for. From Tony Scott in Domino to Deja Vu with Denzel Washington, The Secret Life of Bees to Our Family Wedding, all of these wonderful big blockbuster films. they were offered to me, and I still get offers. I have an animation movie I did last year for Netflix. I have one right now that's going to be with Mr. Goggins, and it's all offers, all offers, like because they like that person and they feel there's a kinship, and I'm just authentic. Gone are the days in Hollywood where people actually aesthetically look like I look. I guess I'm from the Marilyn Monroe era when women were size 10 or 12, and that was considered normal. Today, it's become a thing of something else. And I just know who I am and whose I am. I'm a child of God, the Most High Power. So for me, I'm good with what I look like. I don't need to envelop anything else. And what I thank God for every day is that Jared wrote a character who was me, who is me in terms of the aesthetics. And therefore, that has defined me in this business. So when people hear my name, Chandra, they know a 6-footer's coming. They
Mhm.
know somebody with a body, with a booty. They know she's coming with this booty. They know it. There's no question about it. And it's not salacious. It's just who I am. I am a Black woman, fully embraced of that. And so he did that for me. God gave it to me. And my brother, my mentor, said it's going to follow me. And thus far, we have all of us, and this is the truth, we all genuinely love each other. This isn't like, oh, we still talk and text. And when we see each other, there's emotions. It's like day one. And only God can do that. There's nothing that Jared or Jerusha could have done but just put the words on the page. Every one of us were ushered to this moment for such a time as this longevity. John Grice, I spoke to him because he's on White Lotus. I'm like, oh my God, bro, this is, we go in, and I asked him to do something for a TV show that I have. And I said, I need you guys to send me a blip. And the network went freaked out. It was like, oh my God, they're going to send these clips. I'm like, yeah, they're my friends. And we have maintained friends. But honestly, Jim, in this business, that's a hard thing to do. But if anyone knows me, I'm from LA. I know who I am. I know whose I am. I love my life that God has given me prior to being in Hollywood, since I've been in Hollywood. And He has used me to bless a lot of people. And I'm so glad about it.